Okay.
Um,
I just want to interrupt there because a lot of the stuff you're touching on, we're going to go back to. I've already got a plan to go back and expand on. But if on your last slide, just before you changed to this, it had rebalance. Thank you very much. Rebalances the worker-employer relationship. Now, this I think is a key one that often gets rushed past, and that some critics of the UBI, so there are left-wing critics of a UBI, and this is something that I think that gets missed a lot. And I mean, so basically, if I understand, if we're thinking the same thing here, what the idea is that if you're not as dependent on your employer for the means of survival, that puts you in a stronger position to negotiate better wages, conditions, and so on. And that if the supply of labor is reduced because some people decide not to work two jobs, or not to work as many hours, or not to work as many years before retirement, or whatever it is, then that makes the supply of labor that is available more sought after, and generally increases the leverage of labor, and should increase the wage share of income, as in the amount of the income in the country that comes from wages and doing work rather than from owning stuff and having people work for you. Is that about right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when people talk to me about the jobs guarantee, I feel like there are some fundamental problems with the jobs guarantee that get solved when you also have a UBI in place. And one of those things is being able to actually come from a better negotiating position when you're working out how you want to spend your labor. And so I think that's absolutely right. People say, oh, but if we all had a UWP, if we all had a UBI, who would clean the toilets? Who would do all of those jobs no one wants to do? Well, the problem is that you're not actually compensating people for doing the jobs that nobody wants to do. How about we pay them more so that that's actually a desirable job? Let's not just rely on how things have always been and assume that that's the right thing to do. So,
well, there's two things that could happen. One, we could pay people more, or that could also be a little bit of everyone's job. So everyone who works in an office might have, 1 week of the year, or one day of the week where they have part of, you have to roll up your sleeves and do a little bit of work that you might think is a bit below your station. I'm just suggesting crazy, wild things. There might not be a whole job at the company that's just a cleaner. So we might talk about balancing the kind of work that people get to do. So when you to make labor more attractive, you have to bundle it so that there's fun, empowering work bundled with the less empowering, less fun work.
Absolutely. And I think, our current system relies on the threat of poverty to get people to do those jobs. And that's, not a system that I want to be part of. Shall we move
Absolutely.
on?
Please move. Please do.
Right.
Thanks for indulging me on that tangent.
Yeah, no worries.